What's up, guys? It's Attack on Samurai, and here is my match against FlattestMatt, which was on Showdown. So this was my first match, making it into the 1300s. So this was again with that team I had showed earlier. I showed on my team builder. This hyper offensive OU team I made, consisting of Ibuki the Aselgor, Puff Daddy the Mega Altaria, Black and Yellow the Zapdos, Beetlegeese, the Bisharp, Rod the Volcarona, and Rose the Starmie. So this was a pretty close match. Well, actually, it was actually a pretty close match. Uh, his team, he's got Gliscor, Ferrothorn, Slowbro, Bisharp, Heatran, and Salamence. So he's got a pretty decently balanced team. Yeah, again, this game was pretty crazy. Definitely a lot of plays that were made, a lot of predictions that I had to make as well. So let's get into it. So first turn, I start off with Starmie as he starts off with Gliscor. So right here, he actually switches predicting a Skull as I go for the Skull play anyway, because I was trying to fish for a burn or whatever. I do get the burn on the first turn on the Ferrothorn, so that's really good, and it really helps me out later. So I switch out Rose, bring in Ibuki, since pretty much the only things Ferrothorn could do is just set up on me or whatever, or go for a Draw Ball. So I decided to bring in Ibuki instead of my hazards, as I do set up my one layer of spikes. And then set up one more layer, as he goes for Toxic right there with his Heatran. So that kind of messes up Ibuki a little bit, but pretty much I'm going to save Ibuki for later. I bring in Rose as he goes for a Fire Blast, which does a lot. So that told me that his Heatran was most likely an offensive set. He switches out, brings in Ferrothorn. I go for Scald again, whittling him down even further with the Skull, as he also takes Spikes damage as well. So now I switch out, bring in Ibuki as he goes for a Giga Drain, which was like very weird because you rarely see a special attack on a Ferrothorn, but okay. So he switches out Ferrothorn because he doesn't want to take a Bug type move. As I actually go for one more layer of spikes, to get that last layer. I go for a Bug Buzz, get as much damage on this Heatran as possible. He goes for Flash Cannon and crits me. I'm pretty sure that crit mattered. I probably would have lived it, and I could have gotten off another Bug Buzz, most likely. But anyways, he switches out Heatran on the switch in into Rose as I bring Rose in. He actually brings in Salamence right here and has the Intimidate Salamence, so that showed me that maybe he was some kind of defensive set or something, especially as he goes for Defog right here. So that was very interesting. So that told me that he was some kind of like defensive set with Salamence. He goes Body Slam, which does no damage to me, as I bring in Black and Yellow my Zapdos. So he switches out, not wanting to take an HP Ice or whatever, or an Electric type move, as I actually do go for the Volt Switch, as he brings in Gliscor. So now he's able to get off his Toxicor, which kind of sucks for me. I bring in Rose, who can again put on the pressure. He switches out, goes into Slowbro to take the Scald, as I actually do go for the Scald. I went for Skull multiple times because I was trying to get that burn on the Slowbro. So first time, second time didn't get it. He actually goes for a Toxic and misses. I go for one more Skull, and I go for another Skull again, trying to get that burn, because whittling down that Slowbro would have been really, really nice. But he lands a Toxic right here. Kind of sucks, but I've got Natural Cure, so I can switch out anyway, not having to worry about Toxic at all. So I go Scald again, no burn. He goes Scald, whittling me down, with Toxic as well. So I go for one more Scald right here as he switches in the Salamence, so I knew that really wasn't going to help me. No, actually, no, I go for the Rapid Spin right here because I knew he was going to switch. So I had a feeling he was going to switch at this point. So now his rocks are gone, which are huge. I switch out Rose. I bring in Black and Yellow as he actually goes for Body Slam again, putting Zapdos down even further. So right here, I was thinking that maybe he would go back into Gliscor or whatever, so I decided to go for a Heat Wave on the switch in. So I was really playing very risky right there, because if I if he actually predicted the heat wave, he could have brought in Heatran, and then that would have given him a +1 boost in his from Flash Heart, which would have really sucked for me. But luckily, I was able to land that heat wave on the Gliscor, and whittle down Gliscor quite a bit. So, anyways, I switch out Black and Yellow. I bring in Volcarona, who can actually put on some pressure. But then, at this point, I thought about, oh snap, he still has the Heatran around. So he actually does bring Heatran in. As I go for a Bug Buzz on the switch in, because I knew he was going to bring Heatran in at this point. So I make the prediction, I switch out, I bring in Beetlegeese, as he actually goes for an Earth Power right here on the switch in. So smart play on his part for doing that. So again, this kind of sucks for me. I bring in Rose. Really sucks that I did lose Bisharp right there. I mean, that I did lose Beetlegeese, because Beetlegeese could have actually, handled that Slowbro pretty easily. And also he did have the Intimidate, so Bisharp would have definitely hurt that Salamence. But anyways, Salamence switches out, brings in Bisharp, as I actually go for the Scald right here. So Scald lands, I don't get the burn, which really sucks. He goes Sucker Punch, I barely live that. I go for a Rapid Spin to get rid of his rocks, as he pretty much goes for another Sucker Punch right here, I believe. Actually, I go for Recover. I'm predicting him to go for Sucker Punch again, but he actually goes Knock Off on this play. So smart play on his part for predicting that. He knocks on the lefties. Now I bring in Puff Daddy. Now this play right here mattered a lot. This play right here actually changed the course of the rest of the game. So I had a feeling that Bisharp was probably going to go for a Sucker Punch, or was probably going to Iron me. Okay, so I was thinking two things in my head at this point in the battle. Actually, three things. I was thinking, one, I already lost, because there's really no way for me to get around the rest of his team at this point. Two, I was thinking about going Earthquake, because I was predicting him to go for Sucker. I was predicting him to predict me to go for oh wait, no. I was predicting him. Shoot, I was predicting him to predict me to go for Earthquake. Actually, no, I was predicting me to go for a Dragon Dance. So I was thinking that he would go Iron Head on my Dragon Dance. And then my other thought process was to just take the Sucker Punch and then just land the Earth Power. The Earthquake. So, and also I was gonna do this without Mega Evolving. That's why I went. That's why if I did Mega Evolve and I went D-Dance and he went Iron Head, that would have taken out my Altaria. I definitely would have taken out Puff Daddy. But you're going to see right here which of the three options I play. I go Earthquake, Bisharp drops, and pretty much now he brings in Gliscor. Now this part right here also changes the game as well. It literally just throws the whole game off for my opponent. So basically right here, his only option with Gliscor is to just try and tank a hit from my Mega Altaria at this point. So pretty much Puff Daddy is very free to just set up on Gliscor, since Gliscor can't really touch Puff Daddy at all unless it had Earthquake. But even with Earthquake, it wouldn't do that much. Gliscor does have a pretty good attack stat, but most Gliscors are ran defensively, so they're not gonna invest a lot into attack. So an Earthquake wouldn't really do that much to me. So yeah, and also I was thinking that he could go for Toxic too as well. But he actually doesn't have Toxic on this set. He actually had Stealth Rock, Knock Off. I forgot his other move. I don't think he even showed it. I think he only showed Stealth Rock and Knock Off in this battle. But basically right here, Puff Daddy is pretty much free to just set up on the Gliscor, as I actually switch first into Volcarona. So he goes Knock Off. Knocked off my lefties, which kind of sucks. Does get the Poison Heal up. I actually switch into Puff Daddy, predicting the switch into Heatran. He actually goes Stealth Rock instead, so kind of sucks. But pretty much at this point, I just go D-Dance. I just YOLO it. I go for the DD as he goes Knock Off, predicting, I guess, my switching into Zapdos. I don't know, but he brings Salamence in. I actually go for a second D-Dance, predicting the switch into Salamence. And pretty much at this point, Puff Daddy just sweeps the rest of his team. So I Mega Evolve, I get off that return, and Salamence drops, and pretty much that's how the rest of the game goes. Puff Daddy just sweeps the rest of his team at this point. So I go Earthquake, there goes Ferrothorn, Ferrothorn drops, He brings in Gliscor. I go for a return. He can't really retaliate too well, so he's just going to take like 81% from that. Knockoff gets a crit but doesn't do anything, so that told me he really didn't have anything to touch my Puff Daddy with. So I go Dragon Claw, Gliscor drops. He brings in Heatran. I go Earthquake, Heatran drops, and he brings in Slowbro. And Slowbro, very tanky mon, is actually able to take 2 returns from my Puff Daddy, but he doesn't have anything to really retaliate back with besides Toxic. So really, he didn't have much to deal with. I was actually hoping at this point that he didn't have like Protect Toxic or whatever with Slowbro, but he didn't, and luckily I'm able to beat him with Return, and that is pretty much game. So yeah, pretty close game actually. I think I played it pretty well though with this game. But also I feel like I made some pretty predictable like misplays, like especially with Zapdos, you know, predicting. I mean, like, well, I knew that he was gonna. I had a feeling that he was gonna switch into Gliscor, anyway on the Volt Switch, with I think like Heatran on the field, or I think it was it was actually Salamence on the field at the time. But I just kind of, Zapdos didn't really get to do much besides that Heat Wave on the Gliscor. But still, Puff Daddy was able to bring the game back, and that's all that matters. So let me know if you guys like this battle, and you actually like, you know, seeing me do these recorded battles on Showdown instead of doing the ones on my 3DS. If you guys prefer either one, then that's cool with me too. I'll still be doing ones on my 3DS as well. Speaking of that, I think I actually need to record one too. So yeah. Anyways, take care, and I will see you in the next Wi-Fi battle. I mean, the next Showdown battle.